All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It is Tuesday, Tasty Tunage Tuesday. We are back after a weekend up in the woods. We're all over the place this weekend, next week. Who knows? We're going to try to pull a bunch of episodes together this week. We'll see. We shall see. What are we talking about today? So many topics to talk about still. I am literally all over the place trying to figure out where to go with so much music. This is a supersized episode right here. We're going to try to make it not as supersized as it could be, but I'm excited. We're talking about two soundtracks have anniversaries this week, if you will. So let's get to the chase quickly. The first one is 40 years ago. The soundtrack, the movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Wow, what a movie this is. This is considered one of the greatest movies of the 80s. Is it not? I mean, so many quotes. The movie itself, I mean, so many scenes, right? But it didn't really do that well. It wasn't, it didn't. It made like $27 million in the theaters. But clearly, it was rentals, all about the blockbuster rentals. You got so much to like about this movie. Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates. We'll get back to her in a minute. You got all kinds of awesome people here. You got Sean Penn, of course. We'll get to him in a second. And then you have to hunt around. You gotta pay attention. That's Forrest Whitaker there. That's Nicolas Cage and Eric Stoltz, the stoners in the shop over there. So, you gotta look around for that kind of stuff. The soundtrack only went to number 54. So why are we talking about this, people? Because it's the soundtrack that made the movie, the music, talking about the music and the music itself. At first, it was going to be like 70s music theme, and they were like, no, we need to do 80s. The director was like, we need to do 80s, but we also need to do like punk or weird stuff because that's what it's all about. She had to fight to get one of the bands on there. But who's on this soundtrack? Do you guys remember the soundtrack? The biggest hit of all off this soundtrack, Somebody's Baby, Jackson Browne. That's the highest charting one off this whole thing. But you got all kinds of bands on here. You got Don't Be Lonely by Quarterflash. We discussed them a couple weeks ago. You got the song Fast Times by Billy Squire. We've talked about Billy Squire. This is right before he went to Stadium Rock and before he doomed himself with that pink tank top. But not to be confused with the song Fast Times at Ridgemont High by Sammy Hagar, coming off of like the heavy metal soundtrack, who I think the person in charge of the soundtrack was also did that, and Urban Cowboy, by the way. I don't know, the theme to Spicoli, that's Sean Penn's character, that's Jimmy Buffett's song. Sleeping Angel by Stevie Nicks. How'd they score all these people? On this record is individually Joe Walsh, Don Henley, Timothy B. Schmidt, and Don Felder. The Eagles. Pretty much all the Eagles, right? How'd that happen? Like, what's going on? That's just bizarre. Not on the soundtrack. First and foremost, the car is moving in stereo. Everyone knows the scene that song came in. And that's kind of like American Pie worthy. I think American Pie was dialing on that. But that's a key scene in the movie with Phoebe Cates and Judge Reinhold, is it not? Anyway, that one didn't make on the soundtrack. Usually these are contract related. There's just can't work it out. American Girl by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. The Go-Go's are on this soundtrack, just a lesser known song. This song did not make it on there, probably for those reasons. Heart wrote a song called Fast Times for this record. Not only that, Nancy Wilson was dating director Cameron Crowe. What? How did that even that must have been a fun conversation in their relationship. It was probably all contractual. But who else wrote a song for this soundtrack? Todd Rundgren wrote a song for this soundtrack that didn't make it on there. So many people were in. There's even a longer list than that. This was a big deal. And even music plays throughout the actual movie itself. Remember, Damone's trying to sell Van Halen tickets. He gives advice that says if it's the key to making out is to put on Led Zeppelin 4, side 1, I think he says. That's the key. And then they cue to that scene of him playing it, and they're just sitting there driving down the road. So many great quotes. We can't go through all the quotes here, but of course, most provided by Spicoli. All I need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz, and I'm fine. And of course, aloha, Mr. Hand. So many more than that. But you're going to pick a song off this one? For me, it's Fast Times at Ridgemont High by Sammy Hagar. That's the song for me that you're going to play today. We're at 5 minutes. We're going to try to keep this going here. What are we doing? The next up, 35 years ago, like yesterday, Joel Schumacher directed The Lost Boys. We covered the Lost Boys soundtrack, I think, in season 1. Teen vampire horror comedy movie. They said to him, what kind of movie are you making? Is this a horror movie or comedy? And he was like, yes, that's what it is. And that's what it turned out to be. Jason Patric, the Coreys, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. 7/31/87. You don't know what you were watching. It was comedy. It was scary. What you couldn't figure it out, but the movie worked. It was so good. But this soundtrack, awesome soundtrack. Good times. INXS and Jimmy Barnes. Who's Jimmy Barnes, by the way? He's on a couple of these. He's a Scottish-born Australian rock singer. Sound familiar? AC/DC? He had a band called Cold Chisel. Apparently, like dozens of albums and one of the highest-selling Australian acts of all time. But anyway, he was involved with a few of these. Lost in the Shadow, Lou Gramm from Foreigner. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Little Roger Daltry there. Nice version of that song on there. People Are Strange. Echo and the Bunnymen. Nice work on a Doors remake. That's a good one. I do like that one. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Cry Little Sister. Cry Little Sister. Oh my God. We don't know Gerald McMahon. We don't know who he is, but this song, so good. Thou shalt not kill. Anyway, you don't know that song, you're checking it out. Song of the day from this record, though, has to be I Still Believe, Tim Capello. I Still Believe. I'm coming off of listening to The Call. We colored The Call in season 1, and I love The Call, by the way. But that album, Reconciled from 1986, I love the whole album, beginning to end. Maybe we'll have to revisit that on a Wanderlust Wednesday, just that record. But their version was, to me, the definitive version, and then this guy comes along and throws a nasty saxophone in it. It helped that he was shirtless and ripped in the scene. I mean, I'm sure that helped. But still, this version is really nice. And it's a great song. So you're checking out I Still Believe from this soundtrack. And that's what you got going on in 7 minutes. Mark, you've been gone for how many days? 3 days? And wow, you can't stop talking. But that's it. That's what I got. We're doing 2 soundtracks. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Lost Boys. Tell me your stories below. These are great songs. Check out these soundtracks. Did we even mention Oingo Boingo? We didn't even mention Oingo Boingo. Oingo Boingo's on Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and that's the one that the director was like, I need them on this. And it did it fit, not fit, but it made it. And we covered Oingo Boingo a few weeks ago, too. Anyway, that's what we're talking about today in the Rock Cave. 2 great movies. Your assignment? Watch them both. Watch both those movies and get back to me. Tell me what you think. Do they hold up? I think they do. Whatever you're doing today, I hope it involves music. We are out of here. As usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.